Good evening. Is this working? Good evening. It's wonderful to have you all here tonight. I watched this project develop, and I'll tell you, I am so thrilled to see where we are today. This is so important. Back in the middle 60s, when Walt Reed's first book came out, The Illustrator in America, it got so many of us so excited. We were illustrator collectors, we loved the stuff, but Walt encapsulated it all. And then Roger came along and helped. Then we all met, and this all started to develop. This is so important to you, to the museum, and to people who don't really understand this part of American art. This is extremely important, and I think this is going to grow and be a very essential part of the museum. And I'm so happy you're all here, and you all helped with this. Thank you.
By the way, that was the wonderful Bob Horvath, our board chairman. He forgot to mention who he was, but that's okay. We're among friends, it's okay. We're thrilled to see you this evening. Thank you so much for coming out. It's just this great group of friends and supporters, and we're just very happy to have you here with us for this wonderful launch. So tonight we are actually launching the first phase of a new illustration history website. This evolving digital resource was designed to create greater access to information about the field in which Norman Rockwell played a seminal role, and the field in which he was very proud to be a part of. Rockwell used to say, "The great band of illustrators has shown us to ourselves, and I am proud to be among their company." And I think that's certainly true. The first ever digital connection to an aggregated history of illustration art was made possible in part by a generous grant from the National Endowments for the Arts, Artworks Program, and an anonymous donor in honor of illustration historian Walt Reed. We hope that the website will be an asset for scholars, educators, students, and the interested public with accurate materials that are readily available throughout the world, 24/7. We look forward to sharing the commentary of many artists, authors, scholars, and interested parties through this informational portal, and to facilitating the site's growth through their ongoing participation. We really see this as phase one, so we're very excited to see where it will go from here. Before I show you the website, I just remind everybody that, of course, the museum is devoted solely to the art of illustration. And since its inception, we've explored the art and impact of illustrated images through changing exhibitions, publications, and programs. And we really felt uniquely poised to kind of take this next step. And I'll just give you a little background. The concept of an illustration history website actually took place about more than 2 years ago, in April 2013, at a meeting here at the museum of a group of scholars, curators, and teachers called the Illustration History Project. And there was a lot of discussion at the time about the fact that no illustration history textbook existed. Certainly textbooks exist for so many other fields of study, but illustration was not one of them. And I think what emerged from that discussion is that there might be another possibility, and this is an idea that Rick Schneider had, who you'll meet in a few minutes, that illustration history should also perhaps have a portal on the web. And we recognized, of course, that both approaches were viable and important. So I'm very excited to say that now, more than 2 years later, the book is almost complete in terms of its text, with more than 40 authors, and I don't know how many chapters, and our wonderful editors of the book will speak in a minute, and that the website is ready to launch. So it's really has been an exciting road. I have to thank most sincerely some of our staff members who have worked very extensively on this project over the past months. Barbara Runback, our talented curatorial and manager of digital experiences. She's really invested countless hours. Barbara, can you stand up? Where are you? We have to applaud. And Jesse Kowalski, our curator of exhibitions, also tremendous work on the project. And certainly Rick Schneider, who's done beautiful writing, helped us to structure the website, worked directly with Derek Allard of Tunnel 7, who was our web designer. Couldn't be here tonight, but he did a wonderful job as well. Rick, thank you so much. Congratulations. So before I take you through the site, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of other special guests. Wendell Miner has been on the museum's board for quite a few years now, about 15 years, and he has been an exceptional voice for the art of illustration. He's really helped the museum's board to embrace the idea of expanding the museum's mission to collect not only Norman Rockwell, but the broad field of historical and contemporary illustration. And thank you so much for coming to share a few words. Wendell.
Thanks, Stephanie. I know Norman Rockwell is probably smiling right now because he never wanted to be considered out of context to the field he loved so much. And I've always referred to the American narrative illustration as fine art for mass culture, because it communicates the most information to the most people, always. And it takes many forms, whether it's a postage stamp or a story illustration or a magazine cover. It's always there in front of us. We've always sort of taken it for granted. And I know that from personal experience, people don't think about a cover of a book or a magazine being done by anyone. It's just there. This is our mission, to change that. And this all started by considering the extension of our collection in the American narrative, in the Rockwell tradition, as we go forward into the future. Because we have to keep Norman Rockwell in context going into the future, because the more we do that, the more relevant I think he will become in the future as well. Now, I've always been influenced by some of the great fine artists, and let me read some of their names: Thomas Moran, Winslow Homer, Edward Hopper, Rockwell Kent, Maynard Dixon, Frederick Remington, Andrew Wyeth, Ben Shawn, Grant Wood, to name all of a few. And where did they get their skill? They started as illustrators. They crossed that line. And as a matter of fact, Winslow Homer put it this way: as a painter and an illustrator, I will paint for money anytime. Edward Hopper said it best. He spent his first 42 years as an illustrator doing all kinds of things he claimed he hated, but the skill he gained as an illustrator created one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. In general, it can be said that a nation's art is greatest when it most reflects the character of its people. Illustration. Rockwell Kent said this: art must unquestionably have a social value. That is, as its potential means of communication, it must be addressed and in comprehensible terms to the understanding of mankind. Edward Hopper again: painting will have to deal with more fully and less obliquely the life and nature's phenomena before it can again become great. This is the dilemma that's always plagued, I think, illustrators. I think Norman said he was always proud to be an illustrator, but I don't know an illustrator that I've ever known who hasn't sort of tortured themselves of being second banana to fine art. And I think the line has crossed, the lines have been blurring, and it's our mission to bring the mass culture of fine art in illustration to the public at large going into the future. And this is only the beginning. There are so many illustrators to be added to this list that I think this is ultimately going to be our most important mission as a museum. Bricks and mortar, yes. This site will bring everybody here from around the world in the future. And this site will bring the information that has long been needed about the education of what fine art and what illustration is. And I think Tom Wolfe said it best from the painted word. He said, modern painting these days, without the theory that explains it, I can't see the painting. You don't have to do that with illustration. The narrative is already there. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendell. And many of you may know that Wendell is an award-winning illustrator who has illustrated more than 100 picture books, more than 2,000 illustrated book covers. And so you know, very immersed in the subject in which you speak. So we thank you for that. It's really my pleasure to introduce you to the 3 editors of the upcoming History of Illustration textbook. And they have been working tirelessly for probably almost 3 years now to bring this project to fruition. So I'd love to invite, and I'll introduce them, tell you a little bit about them, Susan Doyle, who's an associate professor and chair of the illustration department at the Rhode Island School of Design. She was actually on sabbatical this year, and I think used virtually all of her time to work on this project. Dr. Jolene Grove is an artist and outstanding scholar whose personal dissertation explored the cultural role and impact of Canadian illustrators on the national identity in Canadian and American periodicals. And Whitney Sherman, who's an award-winning illustrator and director and founder of the MFA Illustration Practice Program at the Maryland Institute College of Art. Many of you actually may know Whitney through her very popular breast cancer research stamp, which has been reissued for the 2nd time and has raised actually about $80 million towards breast cancer research. So please help me to welcome Jolene, Susan, and Whitney, who are going to just say a little bit about the book. And I also want to thank our newest staff member, Rich Bradway, who is our Director of Digital Learning Engagement. It's also been a great help in this project.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We put all those words up there so that you can see something very dense in progress. But basically, that's our table of contents. We're so pleased to be working with this group, the History of Illustration program. And Rick started with us and had the great idea and really held fast to it, that he wanted it to be open to everyone. And we felt like we needed a book to locate us in the history of, history of histories, let's say, because we didn't have the same sort of footing as other art histories. So we sort of stuck fast to that project, and Rick and Stephanie forged ahead with the museum, and we're very happy to be part of it. I want to have my 2 cohorts just say a word or 2, but we're very grateful to be here. We've been really blessed. We have a couple of the writers in the audience. We have Robert Lovejoy, came all the way from Virginia, drove up. And we've got Tom LaPadula, where are you? All the way from Brooklyn. So they're chapter writers, and Stephanie wrote a lovely chapter. So, and of course, these 2 have been writing their brains out. So I am going to just step aside.
Okay. The Rockwell's really been a great partner through all of this, so I want to thank Laurie and Stephanie for that, for sure. Thank you. It was never a case of either or between website and book. We recognized that we needed both to support different ways of learning that are out there, different ways of reaching audiences. I'm really happy that we managed to pull together over 40 authors and about twice as many peer reviewers. Every single chapter has been through 2 or 3 or 4 readings by experts in the field from different types or approaches to the field, which I hope will be giving a very well-rounded kind of approach to illustration history. One of the challenges when you're creating the first of something is that there is no benchmark. You're creating the benchmark, and you have to amalgamate everybody's different idea about what that is. And we're working with, as you can see, an international group of people. We have people from about 5 different countries who are helping out. And undoubtedly, there's going to be gaps because we just can't do it all. But there will be future editions.
I'm going to lower the level on the mic here. As an educator, I'm very excited about this book because in the last 30 years of teaching full-time and part-time, it's been known by myself and others that are educators that there's a gap, there's a hole, a void where this history has been needed. And people try to fill that with different ways, there are different perspectives of conveying this important history, but it's never been a unified view of it. And we're so excited to be able to have this as well as ancillary materials that will eventually come that will be available to educators, so that whether they're art historians, whether they're scholars, or whether they're practitioners that are very concerned about conveying this information to their students, they will be able to do that. And so that brings us back to Susan to finish up.
I don't have much more to say other than we do see this very much as a work in progress. So this first book is probably up around 800 pages. Conservatively, and we have been very aware of the gaps in between, but we, as Whitney has said and as Jolene has indicated, are seeing this as a beginning, and we're hoping to bring illustration to folks who've never really thought about it as being having a true tradition of its own. So hopefully that will come through in the book and certainly through the website, and I'm really excited to have you all see the website progress.
I think we forgot to say our publisher is Bloomsbury.
Yay, yay. Well, congratulations on an exceptional job. It's very exciting, and we can't wait to see that book. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Rick Schneider, who has been my co-collaborator, and who will just say a few words about our process of designing the site, and then we'll take you through a little bit of it, actually. Rick is a graphic designer and illustrator who began his career in New York, first as an advertising production artist and then as an editorial art director. He also began freelancing as an illustrator, created artwork for the New York Times, Business Week, Psychology Today, the Saturday Review, and many others. And he has also taught very extensively, so he really knows the history. He has taught at Parsons School of Design and at the Art Institute of Boston, Lesley College, and has been the principal of 2 design firms, Dialogue Design and Graphese. Clients who have included regional corporations, small businesses, and publishing companies. So thrilled to have Rick with us. Thank you.
Well, I love this history. I've taught it for 30 years, and I can't get enough of it. Students are always fascinated, I think, when those of us who teach the history do present it. And it has such a marvelous length and breadth. And from my perspective, I've always seen illustration as something that's been an essential part of the human spirit, and that it didn't start with the 19th century or the 18th or illuminated manuscripts, but in fact has gone back as far as there have been humans creating depictions that relate to narratives or that convey commonly understood cultural symbolism. And illustration has been with us forever, and it will continue to always be with us. It's not something esoteric. And it's not something which is a commercial product, an advertising entity alone. It's multifaceted, many-faceted. And as a teacher, what I've seen consistently is that students tend to see the act of research as a rather shallow effort. Students will go to the textbook that is most commonly recognized. They will go to the websites now that are on the first 5 of hits on the Google search, and they won't go any deeper. And there has never been a textbook. A textbook was desperately needed, and to go along with that textbook, the idea of a web resource which would encourage deeper research through a kind of forceful but subtle way of links which are present for the student to do additional research or dig deeper or travel off in horizontal ways as well as vertical. So, or down, whichever that would go. And so when the idea of a website came about, I was really hoping that we could find support for it, and lo and behold, here was the Rockwell Museum, enthusiastic, excited, and I thought I was going to have to go to crowdsourcing and try to raise money $1 at a time to make a website happen. So, but no, Lori Moffat and the directors decided that this was a worthy cause, and so it has happened, and we're in the launch phase. There is an awful lot that remains to be done, even in terms of the global structure. But the user interface, we wanted it to be friendly, we wanted it to be accessible, and we wanted it to be the kind of place that people could come for not only just the enjoyment of illustration, for learning, have the potential of learning in a deeper way. We want ultimately this website to grow to become not only a place where you read things, but a place where you'll be able to watch videos, oral histories, lectures, real-time seminars, and get-togethers of artists, and interviews, biographies, all sorts of things that could happen in multimedia. And that will be in the second or third phase, hopefully, that this could happen. So I know we will get support. There are people out there who love this history, and I think they will make it happen. So I'm very grateful, and this is a wonderful effort. Now we'll learn a little bit about how it works. So, yeah. Okay.
Barbara, you want to come up too? Great. Okay, so we thought we'd, and Jesse, if you will, we'd love to have you come up. You want to stay there? Okay. Just to give you a little background, we'll take you through the site, just a little bit, navigate a little bit, because we tried to figure out what are some of the main areas of information that we'd like to convey. Certainly, the history was extremely important. So what you'll notice here is that the history is basically, sorry. That gives a little explanation of what the history is like, but we wanted people to have a sense that this is a very, very long history, which it is. It actually starts with prehistory, time period when people were communicating through picture making without words, and continues down through the centuries and to contemporary times. So if we were to pull up one particular time period, anybody want to suggest one?
30 to 40.
30 to 40, okay, there we go. The decade 1930 to 1940, you would get, at this point, an introduction to some of the styles that artists that might have been working at a given time period, some background in terms of the cultural history. And do you want to say a little bit more? Anything else?
Well, I think the range of styles is interesting, and we tried to demonstrate that with the examples. So much of the website is going to be visual, right? It must be. And those examples, I think, particularly in this decade range, let you know that art was going in all sorts of directions, and illustration, right along with all the other arts, was doing the same thing. So we have many, many styles, many, many mediums, many, many different kinds of approaches to very different kinds of illustration.
So it's also relational, which we'll show you in a minute. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get back to the top. I guess I should do it this way. in that each time period is related to particular artists, particular genres. So we'll go back just for a minute to the category called artists. And there, we start with basically an alphabetical listing of practitioners. They will be historical and contemporary, and they will basically connect to the historical periods that are on the website as well. So I'm going to start with somebody in our audience who's right up top here, Istvan Banya. Istvan is an amazing illustrator, and his wife Kathy are here tonight. Thank you for coming. I can't find my mouse. Yay. It's not, my mouse isn't going. Okay. I can't see the mouse. Sorry. There, you got it. Thank you. So basically, we have a picture of each artist, a very brief description on the introductory page, and then if you click through, you will see Istvan in his studio, and you will also get a biography of him. To the left, to your left, there are also decades in which various periods of his art relate to. So if you were to click on one of those decades, it will show you other artists working at that particular time period. And we were very fortunate exhibition of Istvan's work not so long ago. So we had a lot of great information about him. We got to learn a lot about him. You'll also be able to, in an artist link, visit his website. I won't actually go there, but this will take you directly to Istvan's website. And there will also be a series of sample images of the artist's work. So in this case, his beautiful Marilyn Monroe. And if you want to learn more about that painting, you'll go to full details. And we're able to share background about the artwork as well. If I go back to, I guess, Istvan's page, which, go up here. Also on the bottom, where it says additional resources, there is a, we had actually created a video interview with Istvan. So, shall we try it? Okay, I'm afraid to. Okay. So, we're beginning to link video as well, and you see that you'll be able to just get a little bit deeper into the artist's work.
It was a rather gray world at that time. The country was occupied by the Soviet Army. And that's it. There's famous poet in Hungary, and he said, I don't have a mother, I don't have a father, I don't have a country, I don't have God.
So you get
I
the
think
idea.
I completed that.
There's all this wonderful material that we're going to try to include.
In Hungary, there are.
There's also the opportunity for a bibliography. We haven't yet built this out too greatly, but there are a number of books down at the bottom that are associated with Istvan or whatever artist we happen to be focusing on. So that is the artist section. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, there are also some genres connected to Istvan's work. So this is basically category has created art. And I'll go back to, Barbara, you want to talk about genres? Okay, good.
Sure, okay. Genres. We're still currently trying to fill out all of these different sections. This is a weird mouse.
Genre is basically meaning the form in which a particular illustration
Okay, I get it now.
is done.
So we have all different types that we are exploring. We'll take one here. Oop. Poster and film. So here we have different artists that have also worked in doing movie posters. As you realize, we're going to have to keep building up and cross-connecting as we add more and more artists. We also have the decades that it was involved in, short description, and then we will start referencing all of the images that we have in our database to the movie posters. So that's how. Sure. What one was yours? Book cover art. Here we go. So now we have a description, an example. Stephanie wrote a wonderful essay. And then down here we have additional images that relate to colors. We obviously have to do a lot for Wendell. So, we're also going to have essays on our page. Currently, Rick has done a wonderful job on a poster art of Poland here. And he's put in some extraordinarily wonderful images on this website and a lot of research. Do you have anything to say about it?
Well, no. I think that it was a great interest of mine, and as a graphic designer, it was something that I was aware of because they were posters. But as an illustrator, I had no real awareness of Polish posters until I learned about them. And when I did, I was astonished by, actually go way down to the bottom and take a look at some of the contemporary ones. The period between the end of the Second World War and the end of the 1980s was an extraordinary time in Poland for social, political, economic, and artistic reasons. And so this history touches on all of those things and tries to ground it in Poland's nationalism and its connection to its arts.
So keep going.
So the point will be that, our hope is to actually have many essays on the site on a variety of subjects relating to illustration art. And they'll be written by many scholars who hopefully are interested in participating.
Okay. Wow, way up.
I can go to another one.
Yeah, I gotta get to the top. You want another genre, you're saying? Or, resources.
Yeah, you can click the gray arrow at the top. You can go back. There you go.
Okay. So another thing we've been working on is resources. As you've already seen, we have a collection of artist interviews. Right, currently, these are a lot of them that we have on our that we've produced with our exhibitions over the past few years. We also have artist blogs. It's another way that people can stay current with what's going on in the industry, like Today's Inspiration or the Daily Heller, which we're all familiar with. So it's a great thing.
So basically, you can click through to each of those different blogs.
Journey. How can you go without that? And then, so it has a short description, and then you have the opportunity to go directly to the website. Is there a way to go back?
Close out of that.
Where do you go?
Okay. You Command W. Let's see.
Other.
Thank you.
We've added a lot of books to the site. This needs to be expanded, but we've started. So we have like Walt Reed's book, Bridgman's book, and several other books currently, but we're definitely welcome suggestions from people who we think have great. This one, currently we've been uploading catalogs from our exhibitions, and you can download the PDF from here and get the complete catalog. Collections. Harvey Dunn, in this case, we've actually added South Dakota Museum because that's where most of that resides. So if you go to Harvey Dunn's entry, you'll also be connected up to there and you can actually visit the website. There's another one where I had done something on sports cartoons, and Willard Mullins, and his work is in the University of Syracuse. So you're going to be sent there if you want to do further research from there. Okay. This just navigates you through the essays again. This is another great resource. These are all these different schools that offer illustration in their curriculum. Right now, we still have to resequence them alphabetically, and we're probably going to separate them by country. So that's another great one. And last but not least, professional organizations. Here, this is just being in the process of being built, but we'll see things like the Society of Illustrators and other ones, children's books, medical illustrators, architect, because that's technical drawing.
Into this and simply look at the genres and and click on something and then click on pinup art, for example. Down the bottom.
Oh, there's nothing over there though.
Right,
So there would be resources in pinup art and then a listing of places where you could see more.
Comic books.
So whatever the research interest or the personal interest would be, the genres is a way to access some of those things, and then there would be more links to take you to other places and specific artists. It's all still being in process, though. It's still being built.
Phase one.
So we'll go
It's the
down.
launch phase.
Oh, we want to go to the bottom?
Oh, yeah, the bottom would be great.
So we obviously are recognizing the National Endowment for the Arts. We have an About the Project page, which is a short history. You want to tell them about the fellowship?
Yes, we actually, we had a wonderful anonymous donor who gave us some funding to support the website in honor of Walt Reed, who was a great illustration historian. And we also now have a named internship, which will allow us to actually pay an intern to help us to work on the website. So it's really terrific. I think, let's see if we go back here. So we have done a lot, but we have lots to do still, and we're going to look forward to everybody's participation. Certainly love to have any comments that you have or questions. Elle Wood, I have to bring up your page. You have a good page. Yeah, where's his page? I can't get to it. Yes. Yes. There we go.
I'm delighted to see this result. But actually, it's the comic side.
Absolutely.
And people write about it, and we would like those writings. We would like to be able to spread the word. It's wonderful.
So there are so many individual biographies of illustrators of the past.
Yeah, look at it. There you are.
And we have a great video connected to your site there. We have some wonderful images.
And actually, I
You
use.
can bring up, oh yes, self-promotion.
Where'd it go? Yeah. So and there you came. You had a really cute one there. So.
So in other words, some of the images that we have up for you are your promotional images, which is why if somebody is going to look up self-promotion, they'll come up.
And
so we've been able to.
As a bonus that they contribute to
Oh, there you go.
Well, we are very fortunate to have Elle Woods World.
There we
this
go, there we
collection
go.
At the museum. Very fortunate. That's a cropped image, but.
Yeah, we're having a little problem with cropping of images. That's in another phase.
We'll fix it.
We'll fix it.
Thank you. Thank you. So if anybody has questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we're thrilled to have you take a look yourself. We have a couple of computers set up. We have a couple of iPads if you'd like to try those out. And
One question.
yeah,
We will probably
let's pull up
be
Windows.
continuing funding as this thing builds, because you can see that all the subtext of this is going on. The man hours
Yes.
are mind-boggling.
Yes.
So if there's anything that we can do here to help awareness, find further backing, that would be great.
Thank you. There's Wendell.
Well, one thing is that we'll be starting a campaign to solicit submissions.
Yes,
And,
content.
content coming in from everywhere we go.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I'm just thinking about the
Financial support.
The financial support that it takes to do all this work. I think it's really the foundation of getting. I mean, it's this site is in its birth phase. And forward, it's going to be the best thing that we could ever hope for.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that work. It's great.
Thank you.
Please, no.
Well,
We haven't actually been sort of gotten to thinking about
it's a
that.
larger issue.
So it'll be something to look at for sure. Questions or comments? Well, we thank you all, Lori.
Well, I just want to say thank you, first of all, to all of you who came tonight. I think the gods were pretty excited, and we had a little action happening while we were presenting. So Norman Rockwell, all the other illustrators, they joined us tonight. I want to congratulate the leadership on the teams, these two projects. The idea of creating a formalized history around the field of illustration, which, as you can see, goes back millennia. And the original conversation really started amongst a group of extraordinarily passionate people, experts in this field. And I think, as you can see, 2 years later has come a phenomenally long way. And what the passion, volunteer work, a little bit of resources can do to bring both the textbook to fruition and this website, which will reach everyone in the world, has really achieved two goals, because it was clear that for the professors and the academic community, it was very important to have a textbook and something that could guide lesson plans and formalize and integrate further the teaching of illustration, history, and art into the various academic fields: art history, visual studies, design, American history. There's all kinds of ways that illustration gets woven into a curriculum. But our goal here at Norman Rockwell Museum really is to provide universal access and to bring what we think of as the people's art to all people. And I think we've found a way to blend these two goals, the adding academic credentialing, which we're also very committed to and have spent many years now building scholarship out around the fields of American illustration art for about 30 years now, and also making it accessible to the general public who just simply enjoys this beautiful art form that was designed for the people. So this is the launch phase. We say hello to all of our Google Hangout friends who we hope were tuned in to listen to these presentations. And I want to thank the National Endowment for the Arts. I know you're all champions of the endowments and the various small pockets of funding for the arts. This was a turning point in the arts endowment to fund an illustration project. It was a relatively small grant as far as endowment grants go, $35,000. It was an immense shift of direction that was really built on the museum and academic work and world that has been committed to this field, and they were very enthusiastic to see the aggregation of this content built out into a website. It was that there will be more resources funneled to both these projects and to this field in general. This arose out of our ongoing commitment to the field of illustration art. The museum started around the preservation and saving of Norman Rockwell's collection, and after we built this building, we very consciously placed him into context, as Wendell discussed, to present him in the field of all American illustrators. And about 7 years ago, 10 years ago, we started the thinking, and about 7 years ago, the board approved the formation of the Rockwell Center for American Visual Studies. And in that, it was our early efforts to begin to credential and create a more scholarly arm of the museum and place illustration art in a field that looked more broadly at art history to understand the importance of the visual in understanding culture and society. So it's been a fantastic 2 years to aggregate the academic community, to create a hub of information and knowledge, collections, and now historical information. I really want to thank Rick, who's been our partner, and Susan and Whitney and Jailene, who've led the textbook project, and congratulate Stephanie and our staff team on this wonderful launch, a great achievement, and we look forward to building it out. We hope you'll check back often. This is just the beginning. We now have a major both marketing program to do to get the word out, as well as the continuation and build out of more content. So as Stephanie mentioned, the various stations, you can try your hand at it and play with it. We welcome your feedback. We had a great discussion this afternoon with some of the scholars of ways of ordering information that will be fine-tuning. And I would also say that in addition to enjoying refreshments in the lobby, it's likely we won't let anyone leave the building until this storm stops. So it should move on soon, but it sounds like we had quite a little microburst that took its toll. So enjoy, have fun, hang out, and we'll I'll say goodnight later when the weather clears up. Thanks so much.
Yes, that would be great.